First impression. What is first impression? First impression is an immediate judgment that a person usually develops. It is human nature to make judgment of an individual. This is because the brain receives the first impression pictures, creating a combination of every signal coming from a new incident. It always takes us few seconds to judge a stranger. Physical appearance and behavior comprising voice, body language, and mannerism play an important role in first impression formulation. First impressions are very important to your everyday life. They are the basis of how relationships start and how you are seen by other people. Each time we meet a new person, we make prejudgments about them. These judgments can be true or false. First impression is very significant and it often improves individuals' influence. Although the initial impression can inform something about an individual's personality, it is not that dependable. There are a lot of people who believe that the first impression is always correct, but you cannot judge an individual's personality immediately from the initial impression because they are always misleading. First impressions are often the worst means of judging people. Nervousness, stress, and bad days affect all of us sometime. There are a lot of factors that have an impact on this. In other words, our first impression is formed by several factors. One of those factors is the situation in which we have met this person. Sometimes the situations control the person's behavior. This behavior is a result of some developing emotions. There are a lot of things which stimulate some emotions on a person at some moments to be happy, angry, sad, excited, or bored. But people cannot be in those situations all the time. I remember the first time I met my uncle's wife. To me, she seemed to be a very reserved person. With time, I discovered that the situation of coming to our home for the first time was the cause of this impression. But inside, she is a very social person. Also, the position of the person can oblige them to show other characteristics or give a wrong impression about them. A person who has a responsibility or some form of power always shows that they are harsh and obstinate. But if we have some closeness to them, we can discover that it was just an image to make people respect them or make people fear them. For example, people rarely can know about the real character of a leader because this position obliges the person to follow some rules and behaviors in order to be respected by the followers. Another factor that has a strong effect on our first impression about people is the proposal of this meeting. Generally, people give a wrong impression about themselves when they meet other people in order to get what they really want. For example, routinely and repeatedly, all couples try to give a good impression about themselves to impress others at their first meeting. The woman tries to be very kind and very sweet. The man, on the other hand, tries to show that he is very tolerant and elegant. However, when they find themselves under the same roof, they discover the real character of each other. We are not supposed to trust a person's first impression, whether he or she displays good or bad impression. First impression can be extremely negative since it is like stereotyping an individual, when actually they could be opposite of what we observe. A person's real character can only be known after some time. This is when we can be sure about the person's first impression. Therefore, however much we trust the way we judge a person's character at a glance, we should never determine an individual character by his or her first impression. In other words, only time can show us the real character of the person, and then we can say that the first impression is correct.